It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi, everyone. Good to have you watching again. This is the Forum on Eagle Television. Our Forum program is brought to you by the great friends, the great folks out at HaysMed. Mark Goodheart is our guest today, and I've been excited because I saw his name on the list coming up, and he has a wonderful award. Mark, first off, tell us about yourself. You're from Bison, and then we'll talk about the award. You're from Bison. You've been in the school district. What have you done in the school district down there?
I've been originally the high school administrator, and then as we got smaller, I became the senior high administrator, and now I'm the pre-K through 12 administrator. And during that length of time, I've also been able to teach some classes and coach some, and so I've been there 37 years now, so I've done it. I've seen it all pretty much over there.
Well, you and I talked about that, how easy it is. You find a place you like to be, and that's a great area down there. The Bison community, you live in Bison, but they've combined the schools to do that. What a great area. Sometimes you just find a spot that fits, and this has obviously been a good fit for you.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, there was times when I applied for some other jobs and looked at some other jobs and been offered some other jobs, and when it came down to it, between the wife and the kids and the house that we had bought in Bison, it just became a place to stay.
Well, you've been honored not only to be there 37 years, but you've been honored recently. You've been an official for 46 years, along beside that, and you were honored nationally by the National Federation Officials Association as one of their top awards for a distinguished national contributor. And that is in that world is kind of the rock star Super Bowl of awards for that association.
Yeah, I don't think it's really hit me yet. It's a very humbling experience because I think about all the wonderful people that have helped get me through officiating and all the wonderful people I've met through officiating, and it's just it's kind of unbelievable. It's kind of like a fairy tale right now to me.
Well, it's kind of fun because you look back 46 years. Do you remember how you got into officiating, or did something all of a sudden somebody needed someone to officiate a middle school game and there you were? I tried that once and it's like I wasn't very good at it.
Well, I don't think I was very good at it when I started. I may not have been very good when I ended with it either, but
we don't have any other guests yet. The only thing here is you were very good at it. That's yeah.
Shorty Klein at McPherson. He was a YMCA director. I went to college at McPherson College, and I'd refereed some before that. And Shorty went down to the YMCA one day and he asked me if I wanted to help him out. You know, they had various things from coaching to officiating. I said, well, I'd help you out with some, grade school officiating and YMCA officiating. So that's where I got my start with one person officiating at Washington School in McPherson, Kansas.
Wow. And then here you are, 46 years later. You've been involved in officiating of all sorts. What sports have you done?
Well, I've worked baseball, softball, volleyball, but the true passion and the one that I really loved was basketball. It was always basketball.
When you look at the officiating takes a different role in all of them. Basketball is a very active role up and down the court, right, and so many things you watch. Is that why you liked it better than maybe some of the others?
Well, I think probably as I grew up, basketball was my favorite sport. I ended up playing a little bit of college football, but basketball was a sport that just floated my boat the most. You know, that and baseball were two that I really loved. I think the reason that I wanted to officiate basketball is, I think in the beginning it's a pretty good part-time job. You can make some pretty good money in college for your spending money, and then as I worked through it, it became a passion. And to be real truthful, I absolutely loved working high school basketball, and really I only got to do that solidly for about 3 years, and that's when I was teaching at Gorham, my first job, and then from there I went to Otis Bison as an administrator, and they kind of frown on you not being at ball games, so I really didn't do anything for a couple years when I was at Otis. I worked with junior high kids and helped Gary Tranbarger with his class at Great Bend, and went out on Mondays and Thursdays for junior high games. And then Gary Tranbarger, back in the day, they would hire an official for high school, college, whatever, and you got your partner. And Gary was good enough to take a greenie like me out and spend some time with me and chew me out when I needed it. And that's where I got my first start, was working with him at Cloud County, Colby, even Fort Hays women at that time. They hired their own. So that's how I got my start. And from there, some commissioners got to see me in the Rocky Mountain Conference and the KCAC and the JUCO League. So I ended up getting pretty good schedules for the next bunch of years.
What's the hardest part of that job? Because, you know, you see the officials on the court, they're out there during the game, and if they're good, they're gone after the game, and you really don't see them during the game.
And that's a goal of every official, that you can go to the Pizza Hut afterwards or the local place and get something to eat, and you've just worked the game and no one knows you. So I think that's important. The best part for me is I just love being out there. And I think when I first started officiating, I probably was still competing instead of officiating sometimes. So I had to get through that. But yeah, it's a wonderful feeling to be out there and knowing that maybe you're making a difference with people.
When you look at the training, you talked about, you know, somebody that mentored you. Is that how officials learn, by mentoring, or do you actually can you go to classes on how to do this better? How you look at something and make that instantaneous call, and it has to be right, or you want it to be right?
You want it to be right. It isn't always right.
Yeah.
I know.
It's not?
No. I've kicked a few calls, and probably more than I'd like to admit. But it's kind of funny when you're at a ball game and people know that you've officiated. That call will happen, and they'll look at you, and you'll go, "Yeah, that was right." Or if you're not sure, you really don't think it was, you just kind of give them I don't know.
That's a good guess.
But, yeah, we have classes. We have training for it at the high school level. You know, there's now camps, which we have one here at Hayes every summer that my son and I help Fran Martin of the association put on, and so there's a lot of ways to get noticed and get seen and start into officiating.
Are there some games you remember that stand out?
Oh, there's a lot of games I stand out. Now remember though, the older I get, the better I was. You know, that kind of things. I never made a bad call.
Never.
Now,
never. Yeah.
Now, at the time I did, but yeah, I think there's several games that stand out to me, and you know, when you officiate and you're starting out, you're thinking, you know what, I'm faster than that old guy. You know, I think I can get on top of the play better than that old guy. How come he's getting all those games and I'm not getting those games? And I got in a game at Pratt JUCO one night, and I found out why. And you know, he was hobbling, he wasn't at his best, and that was still in the two-man mechanic days, and the game went south in a hurry. And I was the one that caused it to go south. And after the game, when he pulled me out of the depths of, boy, you weren't very good tonight, to, you know, get through the game, I'm going, now I understand. You know, it's you get older, you get wiser, and you know how to take care of things before they happen sometimes.
Well, that's a real key, and you see it happen, you know, college on television. You see, and there are some officials you just tend not to like for some reason, and I'm not sure what they do that those that you never see do to make that, and some of it, that's the way you go about it.
Yeah, well, the ones you don't like, and I've had a philosophy for a long time. And when I was a referee and I did the pregame, I'd always say, now let's not make a call that confuses and makes both coaches mad, you know, because one coach isn't going to like that call on every call.
No, yeah.
You know, they might accept it, but they're not going to like it. But let's not confuse them so that they're looking at each other going, we don't know what's going on either. So you know, that's kind of the main thing, is let the kids decide it, let the play come to you, make the call, go on to the next thing that happens.
How do some calls happen? And I don't know if you watched the playoffs games where, you know, there were some that happened, the Chiefs, the Patriots, but there was one game that, and it involved the Rams and the Saints.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I watched that going.
Everybody saw this, and you're just like, how does that happen when you're on the field? Is it because you're overthinking it? Because to me, sometimes the thought has to be, what's the call, not why, what, how, time of the game, etc. What would happen in an official's mind that caused that kind of blown call?
Well, I think sometimes it's ego, because as I remember that call, the guy that didn't make it is telling the guy that's coming and try to help him to stay away. I think he had his hand up going like, don't come over here. I think egos are a part of it. I mean, that's one of the big things I think about officiating. You got to check your ego when you walk in the locker room, because
you're not the star there.
No one wants to see you, and as you said earlier, if you can walk out of that place and nobody remembers who you are, that's a good thing, and that's the goal of every official that works a game.
Well, Mark, one of the things I know that goes with this is, you know, you win a national award, recognized by other officials from around the entire country. That doesn't happen without, because officiating ball games, you have to be on the road.
Yeah.
For those people who think people just show up from down the street, come over and officiate a game, you drive when you're in the Rocky Mountain Conference and you're in these different conferences. You get to drive a bunch. How did you make all of that happen and have family and all that?
The first thing you got to do is you got to have a spouse that's very supportive. And my wife, Jane, has been so supportive. I can remember laying in the hospital when I had to have a knee worked on, and I said, I think I'm done. She goes, no, you're not done. You're going to continue to work because that's who you are, that's what you do. And I think a lot of times we would load up the kids of the old van and maybe go to Seward County and spend the night on Saturday night and go to get a hotel that's got an indoor pool and let the kids swim in the morning and go to church and come home. That's kind of, we did that on occasions. And you've got to have a spouse that's very, very, very good to allow you to do that. And you got to be willing to get up pretty early some mornings to go to work to get that work done so you can take off at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon to get where you need to get.
Well, I know how that works. Well, one thing with this award, they're going to award that here, which is really kind of neat that you don't have to go to somewhere else. That they're actually doing that here at a local. Tell us about the venue and what's going to happen.
Well, Fran Martin, the assistant director of charge of basketball with Kansas State High School Activity Association, asked me where I wanted to have it done, and being close to Hayes, it was, I was trying to decide whether Dodge City or here because I thought maybe our kids had a chance to get there and they didn't make it out of sub-state. So going to do it prior to the boys championship game next Saturday. It's going to be neat because my son is also working that tournament. I have no idea what games he'll work, but he's working on Friday and Saturday up here, so he's going to get to be there. How many other family members, I don't know yet, but it's, like I said, it's very humbling. I can think of a lot of people that maybe should be sitting here instead of me.
Well, congratulations, Mark. We're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
We come back, I want to talk just quickly before we wrap up. You're an inspiration for others. You talked about camps. I want to find out how somebody young, like Jordan on the other side of the camera, how could he be a great official if he wanted to? How do you get started in the business? We're going to take a break.
All right.
Mark Goodheart is our guest. He's with the National Federation Officials Association, just won the Distinguished National Contributor Award, a nationwide award. Back with more after this.
Hayes Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hayes Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hayes Med, helping people be healthy.
Eagle Communications is your ultimate business partner. We provide business class phone with customizable features and fast, reliable internet. Your knowledgeable team at Technology Solutions has a broad base of IT services to meet your needs. Let the experts at Marketing Solutions get your message to the right people on the best platforms. The only piece missing is your business. Call Eagle Communications today at 877-61-EAGLE.
Hi everyone, this is Gerard Welbrock inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk. We record it over the noon hours Mondays at Old Chicago, north of the interstate in Hayes, and play it back at 6 o'clock Monday nights on Tiger Radio Mix 103. You can also catch it on Eagle TV's channel 14 and 614, Tuesday and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., and always on HayesPost.com. So join us for Tiger Talk over the noon hour Mondays at Old Chicago.
Welcome back with our guest, Mark Goodheart. Good to have you watching as our program is brought to you by Hayes Med. If you have ideas, questions, maybe somebody that would be sitting in this seat just like Mark and do a great job for us, I'd like to hear from you. Gary.Shorman@eaglecom.net is my email address. Mark Goodheart is with the National Federation Officials Association. He has won the Distinguished National Contributor Award. That's going to be honored here just shortly. We went into the break talking about what do you do if you want to get started, how do you do that? But before we do that, you and I were talking about some of the things that fans can say to you as an official. Football, you're away from fans. Not that you still can't hear them. Baseball, you kind of have them behind a screen. Some of the others are there. Volleyball, you're close. But basketball, the fans are right on top of you.
Yeah, right on top of you.
Right on top of you, and in theory, they love you every minute. That doesn't happen. There's always two sides to any call. What are some of the fun things you've heard from fans who are better officials than you are?
Well, yeah, they're all good, and I know Bill Linhart.
Fans don't miss much.
No, Bill Linhart used to have candy, and he'd throw him a piece of candy sometimes. I think some of the things that's been said to me is, I've seen better games called the radio than you're calling tonight, or I've seen better eyes on a potato than you've got, and some of those things. Those are comic. Those are ones you remember.
But you probably get called worse. Have you had to kick some fans out of games?
I never have. No, I've never had the opportunity. I came close one time of getting an administrator to help me out, but finally got him calmed down, and he was pretty good the rest of the game.
You know, it seems like, and you get into some, maybe today more than yesterday, because that's another interesting how fans have changed from when you started to where they are today. Is that pretty noticeable?
Pretty noticeable. I
The
think,
aggressiveness of fans?
yeah, I think where you really notice it, junior high basketball, because you have granddads and grandmas and moms and dads, and every one of those kids at some point is going to be playing at, you know, North Carolina or Duke or somewhere, because they're really going to be good. And you just have to understand that, you know, they love their kids so much that they know they don't make a mistake. Now, I'm sure they don't clean their rooms at home at night, and they get in trouble for that, but on that ball game, they're perfect. So, yeah, you just have to kind of understand the mentality of where people come from, because I've had administrator, ADs, you know, call and say something about, well, that officiating crew that we had last night was not very good. And I said, okay, show me some clips of what they did wrong. And I said, there's so many ways I can look at it. I looked at ball games when I coached differently than I looked at it when my son played or my daughters played. I look at it differently as an administrator or an AD of a school that I am biased for, or how you look at it as a person evaluating the officials, and it's all different, how you perspective of that game.
Do you go back and evaluate yourself?
Oh, much, yes, yes. Yeah, the best place I ever had was where they took the camera up high. They'd have it up high and you could look down. I remember bringing a video home one night and looking at it to evaluate myself, and told my wife, I said, God, that's not even me down there. And she goes, no, that's you. I said, well, I don't have any hair on it. She goes, no, you're starting to lose it. So, yeah, it was me.
It's always nice for your wife to point those things out.
Yeah. And she sometimes can be your best critic, you know.
That's good.
Like, what were you thinking of on that call? Jane, I was maybe thinking I wasn't thinking on that call. Maybe that's the way to put that.
Mark, if somebody wants to get started, how do they get started as an official?
It's pretty easy to get started. You know, they can contact about any other official. The way to do it, in junior high and JV, you do not have to be registered. So if you think you want to do it, contact your local AD. He can get you or she can get you some games, some junior high games, and you can start that way. If you want to do it to work varsity level basketball at the high school level, you need to sign up with the Activity Association, and there's a fee involved with that. They have meetings. You know, you have one major meeting, and then you have 2 area rules meetings, of which I put those on here at Hayes for officials. We have camps, and it goes that way. Our numbers are down, you know, and the biggest thing I hear is fans. Fans, you know, kids. My son and I, we've been to several career fairs talking to kids about when you're done with your sports in high school, think about officiating, because it's a good part-time job. You can go to college and you can kind of pick your hours, and you can get a lot of games to work, and you can start that way. And I've had kids say, well, 2 things. One, I don't want people yelling at me, and I don't like how my coach yelled at officials, so I'm pretty sure I won't like it when they yell at me. So I think coaches, administrators, we need to think about that, parents, on how we treat people coming in, because when you pay that admission to a ball game, and if you go to a junior high game and they don't charge admission, you really don't have any right to be screaming at them. It's not a ticket to yell at the officials. It's a ticket to yell for your team, and that's how you need to look at it.
Boy, if that could be told to more and more people, not to be you sign up to get in, you have to sign it up that way and to go and do that. But Mark, it's great to see, you know, the 46 years of officiating. Obviously, there were a lot of people that thought that you're the right guy to win the Distinguished National Contributor Award. Well, and congratulations for doing that. It's way cool.
There have been so many people who help contribute, from coaches to people that I've known. It's just
even the fans that helped you be better.
Yeah, oh yeah, they'll help you be better, or they'll help you get out. One of the 2.
Mark, thanks for joining us today.
I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Mark Goodheart is our guest today here on the Forum program. Thanks for watching. The Forum is brought to you by Hayes Med and by Eagle Communication. Our community connected.